But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
Good morning and welcome to World Blockchain Roundtable. This is episode 135, Santa's Naughty and Nice List 2023 for blockchain. Let's go ahead and introduce the panel we got today. Today, as always, we have Joe Dragon.
Good morning.
Chief Dragon. He's the chief of all the dragons.
There you go.
You could ask him about Draconis later. Satoshi Sean, who's joining us as well. We got Lisa Mighty Davis, like Queen Lisa, joining us, and Greg from Rivet. How's everybody doing today?
Good. I want to say that you guys are all on the naughty list for not wearing your Christmas sweaters.
This is a Christmas sweater. This is what this is.
Let me see.
It's no, it's not. It's
just that it's green.
It's just green. It's a Slytherin t-shirt. I couldn't find my Christmas.
In fairness, I picked out green as well on purpose because my Christmas sweater didn't arrive in the mail on time.
I think Sean's shirt is green.
Also, in fairness,
Joe has a sweater.
This close
I
to
have a sweater
not
on.
having a shirt on. I sat at the computer. I got everything started. I hit the link. And I was like, "Whoa, I don't have a shirt on." And I just reached next to me and grabbed what was on the chair. So yeah,
I feel like we're like teenagers, and like Lisa, you're just happy that we're dressed for Christmas and like kind of awake.
Right.
So you gotta take what you can get.
I love it.
Coming out of the basement and stopping running that 24 hours at Le Mans on Gran Turismo.
We're all gonna go play video games during dinner, so it's fine. All right, so first quick update from World Blockchain Roundtable Layer ownership tokens. Each host from last week is going to receive 666 lot. Each topic contributor is going to receive 500 lot. Last week's theme was nominated by Jacob Wayne, and he's going to receive 500 lot for that. As a reminder, these ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and governance votes. World Blockchain Roundtable DAO for the theme selection for January is up. So let's take a look at what we got here. Is anybody excited about anything in particular? I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is an obvious vote. I don't know
it's
why.
really like one of the best shows ever, and just maybe like in-depth philosophical debate.
It'd be good.
Talks. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the one that I'm going to vote for, which I haven't voted on yet, but I'm leaning towards how many blockchains do we need? Because I think there's a fun answer to that question that is, let's say, orthogonal to the nature of the question.
Just the question: what is orthogonal? I mean, that's it's already started.
As in uncorrelated in any meaningful way, but still on point.
I have not voted yet. I just realized, so I need to get in here and vote. And that one, I might that would be a fun one. If you vote on it, though, there'll be enough votes there. So if you vote on it, I'll vote on something else. Right?
How is there no votes on peace on earth, goodwill towards men through blockchain?
Because
this is a show about reality. So.
Yeah. And that's a question for December. This will be in January when we're all giving up on our resolutions.
Blockchain to recover stolen property would be really interesting, actually.
I've never understood what they mean by that.
Well, think about it in terms of like, how could you integrate it with Internet of Things to make things unstealable?
Oh, yeah, just tag everything.
Well, like tag everything, but how, right? Because there's all the implications of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Lowe's is
If
doing
you
that.
can
with
always
the-
know where your thing is and it's public. Like a public blockchain is not a good solution for this, right? For
Right.
example.
Right. Yep.
So
And
it's a cool
Grand
topic
Theft Auto,
too.
though.
These should be pretty interesting.
4% for Grand Theft Auto. Executive order for CBDC. That'd be good. So there's some good stuff there. Yeah, how many blockchains do we need? I mean, if you don't vote for it, I'll vote for that. I want to do that because I have an answer already. For
I'm
it,
doing
so.
that one. I'll vote for that one.
Okay. All right. So I'll just have to figure out. You guys tell me what else. Maybe maybe it's on Earth. Maybe I will. Maybe we can have a fantasy episode.
Yeah.
For Peace on Earth, and then it might be fun to watch. So okay.
Yep.
Also,
Also,
I think layer ones versus layer zeros would be really fun too. I've always wanted something about Adobe Photoshop, so I thought that'd be something fun to mess with.
Yeah, layers. Yep.
and
Very
if
niche
you're out
joke
there and
there.
you're watching and you don't love every one of these topics or any one of these topics, remember you always have the right to call an audible.
That's true.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
This is true.
Well, let's get into the questions for this week. This week's theme was Santa's naughty and nice 2023 list on a blockchain. Episode 135. So before the show, we were trying to figure out exactly what that means, which is always the fun part of these questions sometimes. So I think we're just going to go through the questions and see how it works. So the first one we have is suggestion. I wish Santa Claus would bring a gift to each of the hosts for such great work and consistency throughout the year. I suggest creating a post that will collect energy for this purpose. Ideally, the post should be created by Den and the amount of matter earned divided amongst each host. Well, that's
sweet.
That's very nice. But your comment does nothing. You have to create a DAO vote, then actually we can ratify that and then move forward actually doing any of this. Your comment means, but we do appreciate the positive vibes and the thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
That would actually be a really cool way to do okay, here's a question. Imagine someday in the future when this show gets internet wide and we're bigger than Joe Rogan, right? And people are tuning in to hear what we have to say at scales that everybody in here is going to be blown away.
Or real quick, even imagine that they actually stopped throttling the numbers of
Imagine that as a charity idea, I guess is my point. What if you were raising money for charity and you said this exact same thing and you had a huge audience for your show? That would raise a boatload of money. It's crazy.
On top of that, I mean, the governance. There's so many simple things that bigger shows could be doing to get feedback, and it could be it's an interesting thing that right now it's just the whoever owns that medium that's essentially controlling who's on the show, how the show functions, if there ever were something like a charitable component. There's no governance, right? It's like, oh, we're gonna do this, and yay,
right.
It's stupid. So they could do this very easily. So, anyways, whatever.
Cool.
Thank you, though, Dayrox. Dayrox is awesome.
Thank you. Great. Let's go to I guess we can read the next. Is this a question or a comment? I guess it's a question. I think Joe Rogan should be on the nice list. He created Dragon Chain and is in an epic battle between good and evil. Keep up the fight, Joe. Look at Den and how advanced it is. And before it's time to another fine example. He does the super happy Dragon Lucky show every week. Consistently, he never misses a beat. This show, World Blockchain Roundtable, and how the format is chosen in Den is another great novel idea. Great, again, really nice things, but doesn't do us any good. Go do a DAO some money for Joe. You can donate to the legal fund for Den.
I'm on the nice list. That's all that I've ever wanted is some declaration that I'm actually on the nice list, because I had no other idea otherwise, right?
There it is. It's on the internet, so now it's true.
Man, when you're up against legitimate straight up evil, it's very easy to lose sight of the fact that you're on the nice list because you're up against such bastards.
That is the funny thing too, because that that meme that is, what my parents thought I would be doing, for productive life versus, not, actually realizing that I'm in a meme war against the Antichrist is pretty much the truth that it's, I feel I would have never thought, even when we started Dragon Chain, I knew everything was going to come up against us just because it does. And I saw, what they're doing to Bitcoin and even at that early stage. And I had no freaking idea that I would end up needing to become, I'm like actually having to read more philosophical and religious information than technical nowadays, because just trying to freaking understand the world, right? That the evil is real. It's bizarre. So anyway,
it's always
well, but it's like, it's epic though. Actually,
it's weird really how evil is it's
like
just
Gondor,
like it's being exposed basically. Now. It's not even being exposed. Yes. It's like it's just coming out. Like that the stuff with the music industry and how they have like rituals for artists when they launch and stuff. I mean, just it's like celebrities talking about like their weird blood sex stuff. It's like and people we use it for our own gains here. So it literally, you can't argue with the fact that things boil down to just good versus evil.
Yeah, well, it's like things like the oath, the oaths or sets of oaths that elected representatives take, and the ones which they actually follow versus the ones which they do not. And you can guess which ones they do not. They don't give a lick about the Constitution, blah 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 blah. And that's where we're at, And when you bring in things that, oh hey, we have I'm a nerd here, and here's some technology that you can use to actually do good things. And it's like, well, get that out of here, right? We don't want any mention of that. In fact,
we're going to use a technical thing in finance to shut it down in a way that people won't understand, so they won't feel like they can stand up and side with you.
Yeah, like I said, I read this, and I mentioned this before. It's kind of dark, but it's, I think, more true than much else that I've ever read, which was that our realm is set up and made of this massive amount of laws for various reasons, but there are pathways through it that only certain people can know, and it's so that's the problem. There's like the law means nothing at the same time it means everything. It's it's crazy. Anyway,
yeah, the law is the law is a case by case, moment by moment interpretation,
arbitrary,
and yours, yeah, exactly. Yours is going to be tailored to be weaponized against you because they get to frame how the law is read.
All right, well, that's enough.
End of the show, I have an announcement on both of those things that I was going to talk about last week, but I couldn't come. So, also, it's weird. Good versus evil. I didn't show up last week, and the amount of lottery everyone got was it 666. It's just interesting.
Man, yeah. Well, we're on now. It's like that's we at least have.
And good morning to everybody in the chat that's here. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Well, that's enough nice things. We got 2. That's it. The naughty list. Government 3-letter agencies. We have suppressed blockchain, crypto, and its price performance. It's beyond censorship. Code is a form of free speech. Only Vivek gets it. None of us get it. It's only Vivek. I guess I put the U.S. government on the naughty list. What say you? Joe, what do you think about this?
Absolutely. I would say, the U.S. federal government, at least, a lot of governments similarly are made up of what would be anybody's definition of a demon, essentially. And I wouldn't say the government, because it's the people. It's the people who make up the government. Frankly, good or bad, some of them are probably good people, but they should be ashamed of themselves if they are. If you're evil, if you're an evil person, admitted that you're an evil person.
I'll bet you there's a ton of cognitive dissonance, Joe, isn't there? I'll bet you there are a ton of people watching this now going, God, I feel like I'm sitting on the bad guy's side, and I don't really like it, but I've still got to get paid and feed my family. Like,
wow, but
that's you, cop out, though. That's bullshit. That's the cop out.
But if that's you, then defect. Like, well, we got your back if you got ours. This industry is not unfriendly to people who help them out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So-
the cop out that we heard all through the Great Infection.
Yeah, you
Was
might not be rich at first, but you'll instantly be famous with a whole bunch of people if you step out and do that, and you do it in a way that's ethical. So encourage you to do so, especially whoever's watching
Be
at the
good.
FCC right
That's
now.
the thing. Be good.
Because I know
if you have a
probably paid
job
to watch this show and track Joe.
if you have a job that you are not allowed to do good in, then you shouldn't be doing that job, or you are what you're doing. So, if you're just it's like I'm just pushing paper, just my job. This is how I pay my kids or feed my kids. Doesn't matter. You're doing bad. So, you can leave anytime.
And if someone's compromising you, then free yourself from that by getting out of that situation. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Damn right. We need whistleblowers.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go to the next one. I put Vitalik Buterin, assuming that's how you're supposed to say his name, on the naughty list after learning more about the ETH's creation. What say you?
I want to hear what you guys say about this.
Okay.
Sean, or Greg, that's great.
I want to throw this one in there because we run on and support ETH, right? And we don't do it because we think that it does a net bad, right? Vitalik is sort of, in a way, like some of the more cantankerous creators of the past, right? He made an iPhone of blockchain, right? It's a product with a lot of flaws. It works. And it didn't necessarily have fully unselfish beginnings. It's not perfect, but it's one of the ones that does work and that has worked, and we should support it just because we all need to unify right now against. So you think of him like, I guess, a Steve Jobs type, where you don't have to like the guy, you just have to like what he made, and there's enough merit there that we ought to forgive. God sent his only son to die, but he made trees, so we still like him.
Well, if okay,
What Bible are you
wait a
reading?
minute.
Just compare.
I did. I did. Welcome to Christmas.
Okay.
And did you say that Jesus made trees, so we should forgive Jesus?
No, God made trees, so we should forgive him sending his only son to die.
Okay.
From what I've heard, what I've been listening to, and I am no blockchain expert by any means, no technical expert, but from
Steve
what
Jobs
I've
movie quote. Come on.
been listening to, if what Stephen Narioff has brought to the table and what Boring Sleuth has brought to the table, with like his research on, which is like on-chain analysis, then they've gamed this tool. And if you're supporting that, then you're going to be walking yourself into like the lion's den, into a situation where like you're in a rigged vote. So if you're in the system, because especially now that it's proof of stake, someone has the lion's share of the weight of whatever.
Hypothetically.
If the on-chain analysis is true.
We just went from saying, hey, if you're
if
you're a top and you're doing this or you're doing that, you're bad, and you got to do this and you got to stand up for things and be a whistleblower and high moral ground. And then when we started talking about your guy's golden calf,
no, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about unifying the entire blockchain space against the outside.
You're not going to do it again. You're not going to do it on bad actors. You're not going to unite and any unity that we would get by let's all get behind Vitalik.
Okay, how does the existing power structure keep its power then, right? How does the existing they close ranks?
I will tell you.
They do. We need to learn to close ranks, man.
Let me answer real quick because I know Greg.
You're up against people who know how to do that.
You're being defensive about the network itself. This isn't about.
No, I'm not. I'm saying let's not
target doesn't inward. Care.
I hate inward targeting. It's like Bitcoin maximalism. It pisses me off.
I think it's just on-chain analysis.
So essentially, Joe Lubin can point out Dragon Chain, but if we want to say anything bad about Vitalik, it's like, oh my God, we can't attack Vitalik. It's like they fucking.
I'm not saying we can't. I'm saying he's worthy of defense. You guys go ahead and attack him. I don't care.
They attacked the entire market, and we should point out, just like anywhere else. We should
not
point
saying he's
out
not an asshole. I'm just saying we should probably not worry about this right now until after we have less dangerous enemies.
We need time limits or something. We should be able to be transparent about when something is bad or good. And the stuff that came out, and I will tell you, because I support, you know, it's like, hey, he seemed wiser than his age in the early days for various reasons, but, you know, more reasonable than I would have expected for someone of his age and his demeanor. But you know, the funny thing is, I was surprised that you look at the Twitter thread where I went back and forth with him about Zoom, the video conferencing, right? That my notion was like, you can't trust Zoom. They were literally breaking into calls for Chinese dissidents in Hong Kong, right? And they were, you know, basically doxing them and turning them in and stuff like that. It was obviously a controlled platform, and they were found to have backdoors and various other things in the international, you know, on the app and everywhere else. And so we banned it at Dragon Chain because of that, because it just wasn't, not that any others aren't being listened to, because this is being, everything's been listened to, but the issue was that it had backdoors, like they could actually do other things on your device. So that said, I said, well, how could you try it as a marketing? You know, they didn't open source it, you know, because Zoom came out and said, we're not doing that anymore. You know, that thing we did, we're not doing that anymore.
Didn't back it up, though. I remember that.
Yeah, they didn't back it up. There was an open source. They didn't. It was a marketing message, and he's like, oh, we should support them. And I'm like, you're a leader in the blockchain crypto world. How in the world would you support them, right? And am I dead? Can you guys still hear me?
You just frozen.
Okay. I froze here, so okay, I'm good now. All right. So one way or another, I was calling out, and you can't do that. And he's like, "Oh, if we're that picky, you know, nothing will ever be accomplished." And I'm like, and I did not understand his positioning until this recent info came out. Thank you, XRP Army. It came out what you know, the fact that they were largely financed by, and he acted as, and you know, maybe China is not the biggest threat in the world to our, you know, what we value in this industry. I don't know, but the fact that it was all hidden, it wasn't transparent. It wasn't, yeah, we have Chinese backers and the CCP arranged venture capitalists that have put all this money in, that are handling all the wallets and all the whales that are hidden and all that shit.
But if you make a big deal out of it, then it's going to be used by Elizabeth Warren to outlaw everybody.
Then we stand up to Elizabeth Warren, but we don't
stand up to Elizabeth Warren. You don't say, oh no, we have to defend these guys that have done bad things.
Well, I'm just saying we focus on highlighting. There's a lot of bad going on in fiat too that nobody's talking about right now, because we're talking about this.
That's fine. We need to police our own. That's the main point. If anybody's doing something bad,
he went to Russia and met with Putin. I thought it was a little odd, and I thought his behavior.
I think they're reasonable grounds to disagree. I agree that your position is reasonable, but I think you got to agree mine is too.
I understand yours. I don't think it's the right position. You know, yeah, but I understand it. So, and by the way, I wouldn't attack him. I don't think he's evil incarnate. He's not as bad as Gensler, right?
Right, exactly.
I just think he has not lived up to the standard for what we would have expected. And, you know, his dealings alone, you know, anybody who
I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying
anyone who would have allowed someone to come in,
calling him out.
Anyone who allowed someone to come in from Goldman Sachs and do all of the things that Lubin did should not be commended as a good person, or should not be on Sanders' nice list. So,
do you think he was chosen as the face and maybe used or taken advantage of because of his, like, he was clearly brilliant, but he may have had some deficits
just like,
in other
I'll
areas.
tell you, yeah, if you look at Bill Gates, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, they were both, in my opinion, actors. They did not build what they were purported to have built. It was an Intel thing. And I don't doubt we have less information because it hasn't been, you know, we haven't had as much time, but I do not doubt that various people, a lot of people in the crypto world, you could go look at Luke Dash Jr., right? I mean, I know he's a freaking brilliant engineer, but anybody who thinks that there's not something attached, you know, that he has some money coming from sources that are somewhere else, you know, to
there's an epic comment in chat that Amanda, you should put up just because it's cool.
This one?
Shit.
Two, we have to think about all
Not
the
that
good stuff that
No,
has
not
gone
that
on
one.
on
Yeah, that
Ethereum that wouldn't happen otherwise.
That's insane.
There's a lot of amazing projects out there, really, that are doing good stuff with the tech.
Pushing blockchain drunk in the White House.
Arrested by the Secret Service. Merry
Wow.
freaking Christmas. Good morning, Zoo.
You had a plan. You go get drunk and push blockchain at the White House.
That's
They'll listen
Probably best
to
way.
you.
Probably the best way. I don't know why they would arrest you.
you got
they
to
arrest
bring
you for being
enough
drunk or pushing blockchain?
cocaine.
I think it was for the
Joe
trespassing.
and his kid.
It-
It was
If
probably
Yeah,
pushing blockchain.
I kind of doubt he
Right,
jumped the fence.
trying to come onto the U.S.
That's how you
or
avoid getting arrested.
White House grounds. That's cool.
Yeah,
Blockchain,
yeah, it's one of those
no,
things
no,
too.
you're under
If-
arrest.
it's the same thing as there are all these laws there, and it's like you might be in a tour group going through, but if you do something wrong, then they can get you on trespassing because everybody's trespassing.
Right, but like if you have cocaine though, and you hide it somewhere, and that's what they're after you for, they won't be able to find you. So be sure that
Depends who
you
you are.
include that if you decide to raid the White House.
They'll just think it's hunters.
Yeah,
It's just a
depends
tithe.
on who
You
you are.
have to pay it. They hide it behind that painting.
He's 21, or else I would think maybe it was Luke's.
There you go. The secret to getting on the White House is to have cocaine on you. Let's go to the next question. How about that? This one comes to us from I Am For I Am. Is there any good, in quotes, in Gary Gensler and Sam Bankman fraud that would disqualify them from being on the naughty list? I don't think. Also, the naughty list doesn't mean you've never done anything nice in your life. It just means as a whole, you didn't come out on top this year.
John, why didn't you say that like 15 minutes ago? It would have quelched the whole Greg argument thing.
Well, that's so. Then you have a question of is it a number? It's like it's weighted, evil and good, not like number of good. Or if I only murder one person this year, it doesn't put me on the good list because it's only one. You know what I mean? So it's a weighted aggregate, if I use that word correctly.
I have a Sam Bankman-Fried question.
I think he's just an idiot.
About doing so much, he's like, give away all my
That's
money.
not what he does. If you
ever
defend him,
anything?
he's an idiot.
Or just talk. As far as actions go, I don't know. I don't. Did he actually give away money? Did he do philanthropy, or did he just talk about it a lot?
He funded a lot of. I don't know. I don't know if it made it to the weapons industry, but a lot of corruption.
It went to a lot of Congress people, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, but his whole thing was his whole shtick is I want to be a billionaire so I can give it all away. And did he ever do anything, or was it all PR?
What is it? Ethical what? I can't remember the name of it. What's that called? Altruism. Effective altruism. That's what it is, right?
Ugh. Yeah.
That's what they called it.
It's a euphemism for decel.
So he did give away money to the Democrat Party. He did. He did.
Like Bill Gates,
money was funneled.
You can say I've done this, I've done that, but did SBF ever do anything, or because they thought that was this whole? I mean, they talked about it and rammed it down your throat. How wonderful and altruistic it was, and then was there anything that he was doing at all? I can't think of anything. Like any part of the story, it was all I want to do this. I'm going to do this. We need to do this. I'm going to start this. It was not it's not like Mr. Beast. Like, hey, look, we're making people see and giving clean water. You know what he was? I don't know. I was just wondering because I literally can't.
He tried to get in on the X deal too. They tried to shove him into that.
Yeah, they tried to. He was going to be the one that was going to lay out the crypto industry regulations for us all.
God, he didn't end up doing it. Like seriously, I think that's actually maybe the lucky thing is he was dumb, so it didn't work, and he didn't get a chance to finish his influence up. So blockchain isn't built in his image.
Wait a minute,
the regs could be the ones he decided to write, and so his stupidity makes him nice.
Every time I asked anyone,
I'm coming up with a devil's advoute argument. I don't actually believe this.
Anybody who I asked
today
in the industry, by the way, I would ask him, where did this guy come from? How in the world did this FTX thing just blow up. I had people. He's like, "Oh, you need to get involved with them or something." And I'm like, "Who is it? How in the world did it pop?" Everyone would always tell me he's a genius. He's a genius. He
seems like a Gary Gensler creation,
millions
honestly.
of dollars on arbitrage, and I'm like, "Oh, did he?" And apparently none of that was true at all. That was a total PR.
Wasn't it all
thing.
from relationships from his parents' connections?
Yeah,
That was my
his
understanding.
his parents are both on the same faculty as Gensler taught that blockchain course in.
MIT, and was there also something at USD or something?
There was another college though, wasn't
He was
there?
probably coached by Gensler on how to act and what to say.
Stanford, and MIT. Yeah, and they also they wrote a bunch of stuff for, I believe, Senator Warren.
They did.
The father, maybe, or I can't remember which one of his parents.
They're all interconnected.
Yes, they are all interconnected, and they all support each other, and they are all plugged in, and somehow he gets the billions, and then they
the girlfriend's parents were really politically active too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were. I feel like they were pre-selected for this role as opposed to this actually happened. Honestly.
Oh yeah. And that's why too. As soon as it all falls apart, the New York Times does that huge puff piece, and he goes on this tour. He's like, any one of us, if we pulled off something as rotten as what he did, would not get a friendly New York Times interview, would not get on Good Morning America and wherever the hell else he went.
Apology tour.
Yeah, but then they're still trying to do that. They're still trying to push it. Like, haven't we heard him enough? He's he wasn't able to
he's a good boy.
If they get their way and the bad guys win, we'll know when it happens because he'll get his own Netflix special.
What's weird, Joe, you were talking earlier about the rituals, and Sean was saying that the dark stuff is being exposed and all that. There is, and this is a little woo-woo, but there is like the dark rituals that they do, like with their children, like they used to have to sacrifice their first kid or whatever, and instead they would like change their gender, like Kathy Lee Griffin is really Anderson Cooper's big brother that died, supposedly Gloria Vanderbilt's child or whatever. You guys can look into that on your own or whatever.
I believe you, actually.
It's true.
That's all true. But
no, it's true. But you can look into it on your own. But it makes me wonder if that's what's being exposed with stuff like this, with the FTX. Like they're doing it, they're sacrificing their kids publicly. Like, oh, my kid is going to be the FTX person. You see what with Biden,
but I got a beach house though.
Hunter,
like the fact that people get politically awarded positions because they supported something that got into power, right? Like that shit actually is how it's done. So it's not surprising that there are more subtle, unofficial ones that happen.
That's subtle. That's a funny thing because there is the subtlety is like gone. Like you can get free abortions now from the Church of Satan.
Screwed up by picking somebody.
As long as you incorporate rituals into your abortion, and it's a child child ritual. It's free from the Church of Satan. Now that's insane that we live in that time.
In your face.
But it's also nice to have gone to a school that's not part of any of this craziness for blockchain. University of Nicosia.
All right. Well, I think we're out of questions.
Was that the last one?
That was all the nice.
I didn't get to answer. I did not get an answer.
Sorry. I figured at some point we all said how we felt about all these people. At least in the past year.
You already know my answer, so
you can still say it if you, Joe.
I don't know that. I mean, it's an interesting thing. You'd have to point to what good have they done, right? If you were going to ask this, because I was like, I challenge anyone to come up. What's one good thing?
Maybe they hired one good engineer who can get into the space, who would have got into the space otherwise, and now he's going to build something more important that does better. Maybe that's a good thing.
Well, for Gensler, or what do you mean? You mean
just it's like if FTX hired one good engineer. And maybe
Oh.
they did get enough
Oh,
good.
the thing is that anybody he hired got screwed. So he actually hurt
Well,
good engineers, I'm sure.
Assuming somebody wouldn't have got the skills to become that if they didn't do that first.
Yeah,
They're going to stay in the space. So they might have added more than they took.
Yeah, are you going to put that on your resume?
Hell no. But I'm just saying, like, if we're trying to come up with some way, that is the only way I can see there being.
Well, and that's a good point. That's a good point. And then the other side of it would be he did give plenty of engineers the opportunity to be whistleblowers, none of which were.
Yeah, that's true.
So there you go. Right. So any good engineer that he did hire didn't do their fucking job, right?
Weren't good engineers.
Yeah, they weren't good engineers.
Maybe engineers with potential.
Like, I'll code
maybe
in
the
this,
moral lesson will take them there.
I'll code in this back door so that so Alameda can
yeah, it should probably make you quit.
Move the money around.
2023 all overall, do you think that crypto, and you can even say crypto and blockchain separately because it's y'all, naughty list or good list?
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I have an answer for that.
I would have put that as a question, but I can't log in because Dave isn't here anymore for me to have him fix everything.
Shit. The subtlety is, I think generally as an industry, but again, if we're talking about people, I think maybe more people have are woken up for that. Gosh, FTX also screwed us. It's like it just keeps going on and on and on.
Right.
It's waking people up, which is a good thing. So because I think a lot of people who are in crypto are in it for the right reasons. A lot of times they get kind of led astray because it's a natural thing. It's like I could throw money in over here and make some money, even though they know that Sam Bankman-Fried and he's cheating people. They get screwed, right? But generally, I think the industry has lost its way. I mean, I'll tell you right here, not financial advice, right? But every time somebody DMs me on Twitter is like, well, should I buy Bitcoin now? And I say, dude, you need to buy gold, lead, and dried fruits, and make sure it's seeds. Freaking, that's what you're gonna need. Crypto is all gonna collapse when everything collapses because it's Bitcoin's not gonna hold its value when the dollar collapses because. It's
we need
just
more
a
people
freaking
wanting bare
dollar thing
metal
now.
too, like for this thing to be stable.
Yeah. Build something is build a freaking tool to free us is the thing you need to do, right?
I think for years it's been on the naughty list.
The whole stack.
You can look at last year's
NFTs
NFTs really were just bad. You can look back at IC. So greed is at the basis of all the bad stuff because all the bad actors come in. And it used to make a joke like, oh, it's, here comes the bull market because all the scammers are back. Oh, things are looking good because now, I'm getting so many more messages on television trying to rip me off. But I think we talk about policing ourselves. I think for a long time, we really celebrated that. It's the Wild West. We're cypherpunks. It's on the fringe. It was kind of a thing we wore on our sleeve. Whereas we really do need to more grow up.
No way.
We need to grow up more and police ourselves and be a little bit more strict and boring.
I don't know, man. I think we really need to be on the naughty list because we went to war with a group that is going to take out blockchain, and our strategy is capitulate. Right now, we have people who are, instead of donating to the fucking Dragon Chain Legal Fund, trying to look suit and tie. Right, we are not in this fight to fight right now, and we need to be, we need to start throwing punches. We need to start supporting the people who are on the front lines, and we could do that. They're fucking endowments for propaganda for the regulated version that they're probably going to end up building anyway. But we could, instead of spending the money on like advocacy against policy, we could fund the legal battle and just take them out and say the laws they're writing are illegal.
Well, that's definitely going to happen, Gazoo. And that's part of the greed thing.
That's why they're on the naughty list to me.
It is important to know what Greg said, but that's much harder. And that you can't get around the argument that hurts adoption. That hurts everyone hearing about it. That hurts everyone coming. And that's the other side of it. That's the evil side. That's the temptation. Oh, yeah, we can deal with these, with these bad actors. But then crypto overall will come out ahead because more people.
Well, I think we
win.
shouldn't have, even owned
learn.
SBF as one of our bad actors. He was one of theirs. He was selling derivatives.
I
Like-
agree.
Like blaming building code regulations for not being strict enough for the housing crisis.
And when I say we police ourselves, I don't mean the Bitcoin Foundation or the Ethereum Foundation or Coinbase policing us. I mean individuals. It's like when you're, if you are in it to invest, if you are in it to build, if you're in it to pursue freedom, and help others, in a community pursue freedom, choose where you're putting your time, your money, and everything else. Because as it is, you could say until you're blue in the face that SBF is one of them. Because I totally agree. Sam Bankman-Fried was a mini banker, and he was a puppet, right? And people that, and largely through greed, who went along with that shit, made him ours to everybody else's eyes. And we know he wasn't one of us, but the fact that so much now, and I will say those numbers were almost certainly not from individuals that put a bunch of money on FTX. It was almost all institutions and or venture capitalists, or that's how they pumped those numbers up. It wasn't billions of dollars coming in from
Right, it was a stage show with some of that pandemic money they printed got it evaporated, and so they destroyed some supply.
Yep. And so when that happens next, and when the next Celsius, for example, I never got that. It's like, gosh, we have crypto here as this new form of value. Why do I want to establish usury inside of crypto? Why do I want loan making inside of, when it's like, that doesn't even make sense to me. I cannot figure out how in the world.
Even the EFT thing.
Under collateralized loans ought to be the only loans one can get.
Yeah. And so it's one of those
over
things.
collateralized.
So it's totally. Yeah. And so it's one of those things. I'm like, man, we don't need more bankers. We don't even need better bankers. We need to not have, we need decentralized cash, frankly, if you're going to talk about money. And if you're going to talk about other features, which I'm largely, I don't even care about the money side. So all you regulators and all you freaking demons that might want to come after me because I'm going to hurt your dollar, which is going to collapse on its own anyway, forget it. I'm not your guy. I'm trying to get utility that's totally unrelated to finance, right? So the next time one of those things pops up, it would I hate this word, it would behoove everyone to stand back, take a deep breath, and say, is this really something good for the world, for me? I mean, it's like, yes, I could make a buck off of it, sure, but if it's bad for what we're actually trying to build, find something that's worthwhile that you could put your time into. So anyway,
right, like WorldCoin, that was about tracking your information for the AI.
That's again, it's the same type of shit. You're like,
that.
All during the NFT craze, I sounded like an old guy, and I used to joke about it because I was talking about NFTs way before and how they were going to change the world. How it was this amazing technology, and then they were huge, and I was calling them entertainment NFTs. It's like, look at this NFT. NFT was like, oh, that's cute. Do you know what the NFTs can really do? And now, that we've come through all that, I feel like we're so vindicated. Because it was like, it's not. Yeah. See, who put it in chat? NFTs, nice fucking tulips. It's because it's not. Those were entertainment NFTs.
But they were misused.
NFTs would be really popular if anybody who sells gift cards decided to offer an NFT gift card. They would still be popular.
Yeah,
you get one at Best Buy or whatever and give them to people.
Authenticity of anything.
On Tuesday, and we gave gifts, and I have a 12-year-old nephew who's like brilliant, but I didn't know what to get. I got him a gift card for Steam, which they're like 25% more to buy an actual gift card. It's ridiculous for Steam, but you can go to GameStop and it's just a receipt, just a little piece of paper on your receipt with a code. And I gave it to everyone had a gift, and I'm like, here's this trash. It's a receipt. You know what I mean? This is it. And then the code's here. And I kept thinking the kid's gonna lose it before he gets home. He's gonna lose this. It's just a little piece of trash, and
right,
a little receipt. It's all nothing special. And if that was an NFT, I don't have to worry about it,
Right.
It's
They're not investment pieces; they're pieces of utility.
yeah.
Yeah. I've always wondered that if I every year at company Christmas gift trade things, Secret Santa, whatever else, I would always give paper wallet Bitcoin. And I did that for years, and it's like $20 a Bitcoin. It's several of them are worth a decent amount today, but I always wonder if they tossed it or put it on the shelf and
Where
forgot
they
about
are
it.
now.
Right? Yeah.
Who
We just
knows?
washed it in their pants and forgot it was in
Yeah.
So the first application was just fine art, which people will pay arbitrarily high amounts for.
But they
Oftentimes
could
for money
replace
laundering purposes.
contracts and could replace,
They could. They could
you know,
do. They will
escrow.
do a
We
lot of
could get
good.
rid of all these court proceedings.
Right.
I mean, it could
They're
solve a
always
lot of
going to be an
problems.
expense, though, unless someone makes one with limited supply.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think in the future, and again, almost necessitates a collapse first. So don't talk to me about reality of this or not. After a collapse, that the next constitution and all law should be on chain, and it should be deterministic. It should be something that I
Right.
can plug in the values and know the result. I don't need to hope that I can find a good enough lawyer who can talk to a good enough judge. And with or without
Right.
a Mason symbol involved to get me my justice, right? It should be, I put it in a contract, I know the result, right? I get paid out, I
All
get
of the
fined.
code comments on it ought to be DAO discussions about why we're doing it this way, so that if you ever need to know what it should be interpreted as, you can go back and read the comments.
Yep.
There also
Including
has
advanced
to be consequences, though, if it's not followed, because if not, there's no, you can have transparency, you can have vote on chain, all that. But if there's no consequence for not following that, then it's not enforceable.
Well, the beauty would be at that point that when the consequences get physical, that is, when the elected representatives don't follow that constitution, they do something outside the bounds of the constitution. That's when the pitchforks happen, and then it's like a very clear is like, oh, you aren't following, we're not following this anymore. Okay, let me pull out my freaking pitchforks, right? Right now,
if we can force our government on chain, we'll always know when it's happening right when it starts, though.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yes, Wesley. And Gazoo, that's been happening for a long time.
Wesley, is this show live? Is it that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the show's live.
Live. It is live.
I don't know how else you'd be watching it. Anyway, I found something kind of interesting. Since we're out of questions, I found something kind of interesting. This is a top 100 list or something of people from 2021. Influence of 21. So I thought it'd be fun to see if how they aged, And I do think it's interesting that the Crypto Museum of Art, the Museum of Crypto Art, made the list of 2021, and we were talking about then in NFTs. So I figured since we don't have a whole lot of time left, we can go through each one and just tell me if it's naughty or nice, and see if there's a consensus. So the
Are you
museum
gonna start at the bottom or the top?
The bottom.
Count down. Okay.
So the Museum of Crypto Art, would that be on the naughty list or the nice list?
No.
No.
No, it's just not on the list. All right.
Yeah.
It's off.
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Oh,
I feel like we already touched on Gary Gensler.
Well, they made the list themselves and put themselves on it. So that's
Yeah, Gary Gensler super evil, right?
I think this is a list of just influential people, which I would say Gary Gensler is very influential, but not in a positive way. You know what I mean?
I gotta give a high five to Brian Brooks. He does a lot of good for us, actually. He's out there just fighting the nuts and bolts bullshit that they try to target infrastructure with.
So Brian Brooks on the
wait, are we going out of order?
Yeah, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah, we're out of order.
I was about
he's
to go
the
back
former
to
OCC
You're out of
guy,
order.
Officer, the comptroller under Trump.
This whole show is out of order.
Yeah.
He made banks. He allowed banks to hold crypto for the first time.
All right. Let's start with number 18 now. Ria Butoria.
Director of Research at Fidelity Digital Assets.
Yeah.
Naughty list.
No,
I'll tell you,
yes.
anything where a bank is, we're gonna do crypto, and then all of the maximalists was like, yay,
It's corruption,
institutional adoption,
Yeah.
number go up. It literally, as soon as they get stuff into there, you're gonna see more and more paper Bitcoin, and you're not gonna know it's paper Bitcoin until some large event happens and it collapses. So
There will be
that's
a
what
bubble
that
that
whole
will
point
pop,
is.
and they
The
want to be able
banks-
to make sure that happens.
The banks only want to touch this stuff is if they can put it in some structure that they can make paper versions of it. So,
All right.
Well,
what
that's
they
what
are
about-
doing.
the philosophical argument, though, is did she bring it into Fidelity for all the right reasons, and to promote adoption, to put it out there, and
Maybe.
to give
Well, can I tell you?
grandma and grandpa the opportunity to put their 1% into Bitcoin.
Never met her. I don't know.
But that's the thing, you don't know. But then, no matter what, when she brings it into that environment, all the people around that are going to perverse it.
The truth of the matter is all the shit that's been good has been open source and done early, and I think that she probably mostly helped them steal it without consulting with the original creators.
Yeah, they offered me a job leaving Disney. I was supposed to go and become their VP of blockchain something there at Fidelity, and we went back and forth in negotiations, and they kept trying to cut my salary and stuff that I guess banks will do. I've never worked for a bank.
They didn't want to cut you into the gains they were going to make off of writing a bespoke version of what was already open source.
So and so the guy that was setting it up was a past engineer. He seemed to be a pretty reasonable person, even though he worked for a bank. But it was crazy the all the stuff that you had to do to join them. So it didn't work out. But she wasn't there then. So it would have been after that even. And so I doubt issues, but I just put her on the naughty list. Just
maybe she's the person they hired instead of you.
Isn't Ginsburg smiling and looking like that just really creepy? Like,
it is.
I think all these pictures are very creepy.
That's why the Crypto Art Museum guy, little logo there, is on the nice list, because he doesn't have facial expressions.
Exactly.
I guess so.
What about Edward Moncada?
What is it? Blockfolio. So now they were bought out by FTX. So early days, right? I don't know if they're good or bad. We had an account that we announced stuff on.
Who knows? Jack Dorsey, co-founder and CEO of Twitter, co-founder, chairman, and CEO
Does
of
anyone
Square.
know what he's doing now? Because everyone said, "Oh, he's a great guy." He's just, it's just the board, they have him, shackled. And now that he's free, what's he doing? Is he doing anything of note?
I saw him come up about a few weeks or a month ago, related to something with his new venture that he's working on, but I can't remember anything about it, because he was doing the thing with the payment stuff, right, where it was all going to be Lightning Network, and that might have been where it popped up, something with Lightning Network not working, and Dorsey having some upsetting comment or something, but I don't pay attention to it. He's on the naughty list, with or without the beard, mostly because he was fake, just like Zuckerberg. He was, figurehead, whatever. And I think generally didn't do good stuff, even though he could have.
All right. What about the next one? We're on number 15. The co-founder of Polkadot, Gavin Wood. Honestly, I would put him on the nice list just because I'm a fan of polka dots. I think they look good on me. I'm not much of a stripes kind of guy, so I don't know.
I hate polka dots. Although Polkadot,
Gavin Wood's project is a
fitting
good project, man. It is a good project.
For Clown World. Polka dots are very useful for Clown World. I don't know anything about Gavin Wood. I've heard the name. I've seen stuff about him.
He did it all for the
I know
gaming.
a tiny bit. All for the what?
All for the gaming. He was in. That's what Polkadot's about. Gaming.
Is that what it's being used for?
Yeah, basically, like Polkadot was created as an answer to the fact that CryptoKitties once took down ETH. That he wanted a platform where CryptoKitties would be scalable.
That's good. Okay,
that's why they did it.
All right. What about Jesse Powell, co-founder and CEO of Kraken? Honestly, big fan of Kraken. I think the liquor is great. I used to drink it a lot in college.
Rum, right?
Yeah. It's Spice Drums, the alternative to Captain Morgan.
Yes,
They
So
have
still-
they have a pretty cool
alternative
label.
to the superior Captain Morgan.
There you go.
I will say Jesse Powell definitely nice list for several reasons. He's actually positive. He will tell people don't keep your crypto on the exchange, even though he owns the exchange. It's like the opposite of what every other cryptocurrency exchange has pushed people to do. Most of them want you to keep it there, like Celsius did, like FTX did, and try to churn more money just so you keep it there. Why? So they can pull it whenever they want later, right? Just like the U.S. government with 401ks. But and maybe more importantly, because Kraken has the at least the second best logo in all of crypto.
True. It's almost a dragon.
Yes, it's a really cool logo.
He stole my money, so I don't like him.
Dude,
Did he?
Jesse Powell has the smartest legal posturing in all of the DEX or the centralized exchange space. Whatever he's doing with his legal team, they're approaching this in a way that makes them hard to attack. And I think that's pretty smart. So nice list for me too.
Great. We're running out of time, so I want to try to get through these pretty quickly. Just give me like a naughty or nice.
Vitalik.
Vitalik, we did, right? We did, like, I like how in 2021 he was probably one way and now he's another.
So Brian Brooks,
Brian Brooks, I do have to ask why he has a belt on his head and everybody else has flowers.
He's got the Caesar crown.
It's woven.
It looks like a belt.
I don't know. It looks like a Caesar crown on my screen. It looks just like number 9's. Cool. Anthony Pompliano, co-founder and partner of Morgan Creek Digital. He does look like the main character of Dawson's Creek.
Doesn't look like him, but
Yeah, it really didn't look like him. But
if he got punched in the nose, maybe, I don't know.
I put him on. I
think he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I put him on a good list. I will tell you too. He's personable and he's actually a nice person. He's gotten a lot of flack because I think he's taken a lot of bad positions occasionally. But
he's
so
real.
would anybody. Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
him.
he comes across
He's a
as
good guy.
real and he's quick-witted. He is quick-witted.
And he does a lot for adoption and tries to teach people. And and he has
he doesn't
beautiful, amazing wife.
And he's not he's agnostic to maximalism, so people who are maximalists feel comfortable with him, as do people who aren't.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
What about Plan B? And I believe we're not talking about the birth control, the creator of Bitcoin stock to flow model. All right,
I don't know
great.
anything about it.
All right,
I
think it's just,
it was like hashtag Plan B.
Yeah, I just think it's fun seeing all the things from 2021 that just don't matter anymore now.
Not
Smart,
number 9.
honest. It is
They
pretty
matter.
smart. It's a clever thing. It didn't end up being as important, I think, as people thought it was going to be.
What about the co-founder and CEO of Crypto.com, the owner of Crypto Arena, and Chris Marzalek?
Chris is a cool guy.
I think that's
I like him.
I'm still waiting to be seen. There's a lot of things with Crypto.com that are bad, like they stole. Let me preface that.
I met him at a booth at DevCon, and I gotta say, I like the guy. I think his motives are clean. Might be screwing it up, but at least he's not doing it.
I was there for Crypto.com in the beginning. I was one of the first people to promote them and talk about him. And now they're huge. They bought the Staples Center. They're building the one of the only F1 tracks like in the world. We could count how many there are. Like you need both hands. But
they're resisting giving the IRS a backdoor to their data.
But being close to it in the beginning time, it's something that needs to grow up, because it has to either be a bank or be a crypto project, and that's the whole issue I had with them the whole time. Is are they like Crypto Bros or are they like a bank? Because they did kind of marry the two and bring that.
Any of the mini bank stuff I don't like.
I'm leaning towards Goodless now, even though they took $90,000 from me. But
I would say what little I know. I don't have a Crypto.com account. I've never had anything on there, so I don't know anything much about it. Seen commercials and crap like that, and I don't know if they're trying to be a bank. Then I would say naughty list, because it's not what we need, right?
Is it kind of like legalizing cannabis? Is it like doing it so they can like get their hooks on it and get all the fees? And
I feel like it was more
all
about
that kind of
providing
stuff.
we're going to do it in a way that resists authority alternative to the others.
All right. Well, we're almost through this list.
Caitlin Long.
We've got about 10 seconds left. Caitlin Long, part of it, CEO of Avante Financial Group. So probably is that good?
She's awesome.
Caitlin Long, good.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I thought Avante Financial Group would be a bank, and I thought you'd hate her.
Yeah,
Great.
not
no,
crypto
yeah,
saint
she
has a bank.
She's a crypto saint.
She does have a crypto bank, but it's they actually have reserves, right? And I'm not a banker.
That's a full reserve bank.
Yeah, everything they are doing is it's still very financial. So I'm like, okay, but it's all the right way.
It's sound with Austrian economics in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. Juan Bennett, founder and CEO of Protocol Labs. Great. Hayden Hames, founder of Uniswap.
He's badass. I love that guy.
Now here's the thing. That might be somewhere where we disagree. I don't know anything about Hayden, so I may be bad. But I would question.
He coded the first two versions by himself with no team.
Okay, that besides he might be a great engineer. That's not what we're talking about here. Because if this were, let's say, if this were, like say Linus Torvalds giving out awards, it'd be on engineering. It's not on engineering; it's on ethics, and you have to wonder why Ether Delta was destroyed by the government, but Uniswap was allowed immediately after. Just like, by all means. So what's the deal there? Who'd they pay off?
I don't know.
He's a provisional.
They paid off the right person. Probably the ETH Foundation.
He's on the provisional
There you
nice
go.
list.
There you go. Bad.
Very
It has to be. It's just because. And I don't know anything else about him, so nothing personal. He's probably awesome. He's definitely smart, right?
He's infringing on Reggie's patent, so I say
use your powers for
even
good.
if the business
If you're
side of their
smart,
business went down, the protocol would still work, which is cool.
That's very cool. All right, number 5, Barry Silbert, founder and CEO of Digital Currency Group. He's an investor, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't like venture capitalists as a rule. I don't know much about him. I've heard good and bad, but I don't know anything about him.
Provisional naughty list. Let's put him down there.
So all of them totally revived.
Yeah, I got to go with as much as I want to give Barry a shot, man. He fucked a lot of people by how he structured that, and he could have known better. Ought to have known better.
He did know better. You know that. Okay, so I'm definite naughtiness then.
He's in the shit can. Screw him. Michael Saylor, founder, chairman, CEO of MicroStrategy.
I like him. He's a dick. He's our dick.
He's good list, but he's. I don't think he's probably. He's like a sinner that is probably on a good list or something like that, right? Because I think he's had a lot of weird stuff in the past. And I was like, I don't know if all the stuff he's doing is going to pan out, but
like a bad boy for good.
Yeah, and my problem with him is not that he's bad, but that he doesn't actually understand the whys of what he's doing. What he's doing makes total sense, but not.
He's a hard believer, is what he is.
Yeah, he is. So he's a maximalist too, which is kind of like, all right, and worse, he's treating it like it's gold, and that's not what it's supposed to be. Or not what we need. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, and he's like spending. He spends a lot of time focused on the positive, though, so that you kind of forgive the maximalism. He just doesn't mention the others unless somebody forces him to in public.
That's true.
Which is I think a civil way to be a maximalist.
Yeah. And he's a lot of skin in the game, so you have to give him that. It's good.
All right, SBF we've already covered. Andre,
wait, can we cover real quick that he's number 3 on this list, which is
I love that. That's why I was so excited.
Look, he's the only non-cult leader, but he is a murderer. I mean, that's like, I'm going to kill you with your liver. That's dude,
that fucking dude sent more money to that poor country that we destroyed, who shall probably remain nameless, so we don't get stream bumped for even saying the word. But he put some money into a place where we sent cluster bombs. Let's put it that way.
He sent money into the cluster bombs. He didn't send money to people.
Right, exactly. Like people bought.
That's the problem.
Mass murder machines with his money.
I wonder why that is. You have to wonder why. Why did he effective altruism? It's like, I'm going to be altruistic, and I believe that anyone should be able to have their share of cluster bombs for their family.
Yeah,
Cluster bomb in
let's
every
just-
pot.
The effective altruists have no fucking concept of why utilitarianism ends up being an ethical evil in the long run.
Andre Kranji, the independent DeFi developer and founder of Yearn.finance.
Probably good. I don't know
I think
anything
he's
about
a
him.
good guy. He gave me his book for free. So he's
Oh, there you go. Was
Good
it
guy in
signed?
my book.
Was it signed?
no.
Well, okay, that's probably better because if he signed it, he's probably he's like he thinks
He's too narcissistic if he signed it.
Yeah. If he didn't
Right.
sign it but gave it to you, that's really
One
good.
copy of my
He-
book.
he's-
Okay. Yeah.
He's already got his picture on the book as being the author, so that's enough.
He's
Great.
number
And
one.
He's
then
making a
number
lot
one-
out of his first mover advantage on something simple that somebody would have done almost right away if they didn't beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit unearned in doing something so basic that the current finance system already does it and doesn't actually fuck it up
Again,
as
this is
badly
why
as
I
everywhere
say
else they fuck up.
we don't need in our world more financial intricacies.
Right.
We need tools for liberty. We don't need that type of bullshit. So I wouldn't put him on a naughty list, but I still it's like I don't know.
He's on the
who he is.
nice list
I don't
only
follow that
because
shit.
he hasn't gotten into any scandals.
And
again-
because he gave away a copy of his book. We cannot forget
Yes.
about that.
Yes, give her a copy.
Honestly, if somebody gives
Give
me a
me one
copy
now.
of their book, they're automatically
That's
on
true.
the nice
If
list.
John
Oh.
gets a free copy of your book, you're automatically on a nice list.
Yeah.
And did Sean read that book? That's my question.
Damn, I need to bring that up.
It's currently
I
a
read,
coaster.
I did read some of it, and then I got the one on the audiobook, but that they put me to sleep. I can't read. I can't read books, and I can't do audiobooks.
Okay. Well, Sean now has a nice new coaster for his house.
Love
So
It's in my room. It looks nice.
There it is.
It's like
And
the new Wall Street or something like
You
that.
guys, can you hear
And-
me? I'm frozen.
Yeah, we can hear you.
But
Yeah.
I got.
You're
I'm
just
going to
frozen.
dump out. I'll be right back.
All right.
All
Wait,
right.
we got number one. You can't leave yet.
Okay,
We need-
let's see if it lets me talk.
Who do you
Then.
think is number
I'll just
one?
be
Who's
frozen.
number one?
And number one, in 2021, and top people in crypto blockchain, all
Not
of
even
us,
that. Oh, all of us.
decentralizing the world.
Here's
Here's your-
ribbons for everyone.
Here's your
Oh,
piece
yes.
of joy
Yeah.
going into 2024.
I think it's very interesting that there were no
Gen
like,
X or
there were no
Wrote that.
educators, there were no like Antonopoulos or other people of note in the space weren't there.
That was
Yeah.
like the top 20. The list goes on and on and on, it looks
Mhm.
like. Probably to
Nice.
like top 100.
We're probably actually all in there.
Hey, that's me. Look. No.
I'm
Yeah.
Look at their bands get worse, worse and worse.
Oh yeah. So that guy's a hoodie on. Is that the Lightning Network dude?
Look at how tiny their bands are.
Dude, the band on what's his name? The belt. Like he's the only one, man, with a thing on
Is
his
it the
head that could be
belt?
misconceived as a
Special.
braided
It's
belt.
I think it's a woven. What do they use? Is olive branch stuff? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they call that? There's a term for it. Can't remember.
Well,
Fancy.
nobody else's is so flat into their heads.
If you got the
at least.
Triumph in Rome and you got to wear the things in.
All right. Well, that's been our show. I am 8 minutes over. I've been pretty good at keeping us on time.
Ah.
Not today. I tried. All of you in the comments saw me trying. But here we are. Thank you so much for joining us in a wonderful, wonderful 2023. And we look forward to 2024. Are we going to be here next week on the 28th?
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
we'll
'cause it's
be
on
here.
Thursday. Yeah.
We got one more show left this year. It'll be a good one. Don't forget to share this episode, like and subscribe, do all those fun things. The more you contribute, the more lot our hosts get, and the more lot this community gets, and the more we grow together.
And the Twitter algorithm is apparently not throttling our numbers anymore. So the numbers have been higher than
Gazoo, it's not over. It's just the first half of the show. And everybody watching.
Stick around.
Yeah,
for
we're not
current
leaving.
events. Stick around for current events after this. Anything people would like to plug before we get out of here?
I have an idea to change stuff for the current event the current events section. So stick around for we'll talk about it after. And other than that, yeah, just do good.
Merry Christmas,
Good with your
everybody.
crypto. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I have an
Right
announcement that I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah.
So, do you know who ICANN is?
Yes.
I know you know. You know, Greg. You know,
I can.
they're
Nick
And
Morgan.
I can't.
they're illegal. They're like a legal. Like
Sorry, the current version of Brave must have a memory leak. because
Investors,
they eventually dumped it.
advocacy.
investor advocacy, but they're like what are the people that used to fight for truth and justice and all that.
They're like the little guys. They're against like SEC.
Yeah,
and
but
all
they're like anyway, like they're representing Mark Cuban and Elon Musk and
in the Jaworski case.
but they're filing suit in Texas, and I am the face of the lawsuit. It's filed under my name.
Really? Dude.
I've been saying for a long time that the qualified investor law is unconstitutional, and I think it's terrible. Crypto Mom has actually said what I've said the whole time. It just is telling people you're stupid. You're too stupid to invest in stuff. You would have $250,000 or whatever if you weren't so stupid. So you don't have that much money. You can't invest in stuff.
Right.
Anyway, so they're filing in several states, and they're filing under my name in Texas to sue the SEC and to kill the qualified investor.
Tell them I'll do my state if they want. So
I
yeah,
will.
I mean, I don't know. They probably already have somebody, but that's awesome because that's
I'm
one of the
so
most
proud of you,
evil
Sean.
and most obviously evil regulations in existence for in a free republic or democracy, whatever you want to call it.
Were there no need for
It's
it?
awesome,
There would
Sean.
only be one section that was even valid in the SEC's entire. Like, we wouldn't need public markets if they got rid of that rule, because people
that's
could
what
privately invest in startups instead.
Yeah. And by the way, my theory is that that's why 2017, 2018 blew up with crypto, because this was the first time that normal people were able to
shine boys and
Right.
taxi cab
Right. People
drivers.
should be doing rogue
Yeah.
ICOs
Anybody.
because there's still a valid way around this.
There you go. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sean. That's exciting. Check out Sean's shows, which he'll talk about more in current events. Anybody else have anything they'd like to plug before we go over to current events? No?
Shit,
Great.
No,
I love it.
Oh yeah, one thing. I did want to answer the question by nominating our audience. You guys, the people who watch this show and who listen to it, for the nice list, because without you, this wouldn't work. We'd just be talking to ourselves, which would be fun, but probably something that we could always justify doing. So thanks for doing what you guys do to make this thing work, because you do.
I was just reading the comments there for a second. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna share something with everybody really quick. This has been your morality show. Just keep in mind the good people and the bad people that aren't doing anything to help the world move forward. Also, if somebody gives you a book, they're automatically on the nice list. So just keep that in mind going forward. Thank you so much, and hang out. I got to do the last little things here. Next week's theme is biggest blockchain winners and losers of 2023. Leave us a question, a blockchain related question, or topic of your choice. Share this episode. The more you share, the more our hosts and topic contributors will get. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, have some fun, and we'll see you in current events. Bye, everybody.
Oh,
Are we going
we're going straight into it.
Oh, you want to just go straight into it?
I'm waiting for this.
I would have used the morality minute as the end thing then. Cool.
Man, we could have been like, if we play act right, we could have probably made people believe that when we go off air, we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, Amanda told us in the private
hit
chat.
my vape and
I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Sean, I'm so proud of you. You get the Nice List award for this year.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that.
So how'd you get, like, is there a story behind it, how it got going? Like how you
Yeah,
got into
they
that
actually
position to be able to do that?
talked to Lisa, and they thought she lived in Texas, and she's like,
Like,
"No,
we're
I
not
live in Oklahoma." And then she gave them my name. They reached out to me, and they were like asking me, and I like unloaded on them. I was like, "Yeah, it's unconstitutional. I've been talking about that forever. It makes me really mad. It grinds my gears." And they're like, "Okay, that's exactly what we're saying." Yeah.
Now, are legal proceedings going to say Satoshi, Sean, or are you somehow doxxed?
No, it's not because it's me, Sean.
Damn it.
Open Relay LLC might be interested in doing Canvas if anybody wants
Who was I trying
to have a business variant of this going
It's
on.
about being in certain. So they did when I told them I was in Oklahoma, there's certain like districts and Greg, you probably know about this with your evil past. But there's certain districts that it's like more powerful to sue in or something. And I guess
you want to create a circuit split if you want the Supreme Court to address it. So you have to have two districts that will rule different things.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So they needed somebody in the Texas, Louisiana, something else.
Because the Supreme Court's real technical job is to resolve circuit splits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Interesting.
So the Trump thing, Colorado their Supreme Court just voted to take Trump off the ballot.
Yeah.
And so that will most likely end up in a circuit split and go to
I think there's a presumptive. I think right now that one's a little different because it's a presumptive unconstitutional thing to remove your political opponents from the ballot using state law being puppeteered by a national organization.
Sure.
Like, I don't think
that's very
and they're probably intertwined with U.S. government funds and all. Like the State Department's probably somehow connected. I would be willing to bet.
This is interesting in a broader thing, and something I want to talk about for current events, which I think is a huge thing. But it's states, especially Texas. We've given the middle finger to the federal government over the past couple of years. So many things. We never implemented a lot of the restrictions during the gingivitis outbreak. We never had mandatory where we had to stay away from each other. We never had mandatory mask stuff. Those laws that when they were pushed on a national level, we did not do it. And this last week, I don't know if you know what's going on, but there's 3 laws that the governor signed into law, and the way he did it, it's a very, very big middle finger, but it wasn't just a middle finger to political adversaries or the federal government. It was a middle finger to like our friends. It was they basically Texas said we're Texas, and we stand alone because we can, and we will. And if that means that we, screw you, we basically said screw you Arizona, screw you New Mexico. Screw you, California. So there's 3 laws. First law, it makes it illegal to enter the United States, to enter Texas illegally, and you'll be arrested, no matter what. And if you get arrested, you're coming across the border, and they say, hey, that's against the law. You're going to be sent back to your country of origin. You're expelled. Don't come back, except by legal means. If you go through the legal process.
Right, and you give them a pamphlet on how to do that on the way out.
But if you come across again, it's a minimum of 10 years in prison. Boom.
Right.
But also, Texas citizens, if you aid and abet, if you help anyone, no first chance, 5-year minimum prison. And a lot of people, I used to have a ranch in West Texas, real close to the border, but a lot of people that like live out there, their choices are that the cartel comes through like, hey, we're just going to bring people through your yard, that's all, don't mess with us,
right?
And they're like, no, you don't do that. They're like, well, we're going to kill your livestock, we're going to kill your dog, we're going to
they'll just
shoot your car up, we're going
to it's an offer you can't refuse,
or it is, or we'll give you like $5,000 a month and just we won't mess with you. You don't mess with us. And that's a lot easier for those people to be like, Okay, fine. You're going to do it anyway. $5,000 a month for me. Even if you don't pay me, just don't bother me. 5 years.
What they don't realize is they're making themselves targets for the cartels, competitor cartels. But
And also, if there's if you have a stash house or something on your property, 5 years. They passed a law to build the wall to finish it. They've been putting like $1 billion, almost $1 billion, like 800 million a year into it. But they raised that up, and they're going to finish the wall in Texas. And then, like, a lot of reporters asked them, "Do you think this is going to work?" Blah blah blah. He goes, "Oh yeah, we've already seen where we put troops, or we make things harder for the cartels or even just people to cross illegally. They just move down. They just move over, and they come in different places because, like, why mess with the headache when you can just go around it?" And so they're like, "Oh, so they'll just come in through Arizona or New Mexico or California." He's like, "Yeah, they will. It's not our problem, bro." That was basically it. Like, I guess they'll have to do their own thing.
do you think the feds are going to try to heavily interfere with this?
That's my point. That's what I talked about on my Tuesday show.
I think they will
with Lisa, because it's going to. I said it's going to happen. It's not that it could. It will happen, where you have people crossing the Rio Grande, and two, ICE agents, federal troops, could be the Army. They have reserve down there that are there at the current administration's orders, and they're helping them across the water. And they're like, "We'll take you to the processing station. We'll bring you into the U.S. and you'll have dates and blah blah blah." And literally, a Texas Guard troop could walk up to him. A deputy sheriff could walk up and say, "Stop! You two are under arrest. Come with me." And the federal agents or military would be like, "No, they're under, they're in our custody." And then they just radio, and all of a sudden 2 other deputies come up with shotguns, and they're like, "You're under arrest for coming into the United States, and you two are under arrest for obstruction." I mean, if you're following orders by the president and your government, and you could be arrested in Texas now. So I don't know, the legal ramifications are, and there was I wanted to bring it up with you because one of the reporters asked, "Isn't this like a violation, or isn't this like Arizona versus Texas or something?" Like, I think it was Arizona or New Mexico versus Texas. And the governor said, "Yes, we our legal scholars," or whatever he said. It was some big word. They looked at that, and we when that Supreme Court case went through, Justice Scalia wrote this dissenting argument that it could have been done a certain way, and laid out how the law could have been done to where it would have passed the muster.
So there's quasi precedent around the approach,
right? But then Scalia did this big paper on how it could have been done, and it would have been valid.
Given the current makeup of the Supreme Court, I think you got a shot with that strategy, honestly.
Yeah, so I think that's another thing they're trying to do. But if that happens, then that states' rights things become so huge. Removing your political, I mean, that's ridiculous.
They would probably find a new way to go totalitarian. I would be surprised if COVID-23 got released as a response to this.
So, but I mean,
something's going to happen.
To me, it's a huge thing. It's basically a state, and there's not a lot of states that can do it, but Texas is one of them. But we've never given the middle finger to any other our buddy states. Florida, Texas, they've literally, the governor in Florida said, "Hey, if you need troops, we'll send troops from Florida to New Mexico, to Arizona, to Texas, not to California." But we have this Southern buddy thing, and also I wanted to say about the Colorado law on Twitter. It just blew up. "Oh, that's great, because now all the red states can take Biden off of their off the ballot." So,
right. Technically, he's committed some very public crimes of corruption. So
yeah.
Well, Trump was never charged with that, so you can't that's the thing, is that they were saying that they took him off for something he was never charged with.
And therefore not convicted, which you
probably bad for democracy.
Or convicted of. Sorry, yeah.
Like we should probably dial that back. I'm hoping the Supreme Court just reverses it.
It's really kind of crazy too, because this is democracy. It's judges are going to decide this. It's like
I mean, it's not going to make things better. You think you're going to make Trump supporters just vote for the other guy because Trump's not on the ballot?
Right.
Or are they
Well,
going to reject the election altogether?
Vivek had said he's going to pull himself off the ballot, and he challenged the rest of the candidates on the GOP or whatever to do the same.
Yeah, and I will say Colorado Republican Party responded to his tweet that said he wouldn't need to, that if it stands, that they were going to convert to a caucus and not have to follow that. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's all crazy stuff. So
that's interesting.
Trump's there might be a 14th Amendment challenge. In this, like where you could challenge the entire procedural structure as violatory of the 14th.
Isn't it dangerous to open up? So I had a group that I was talking with about doing some work on one of the amendments. Anyway, but then I had a friend that I talked to about it, and they said it can be really dangerous opening up the amendments, and because you like kind of
they put poison pills
for it's dangerous. Like then it can change for the worse, or you can do damage.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there's always a risk, I guess, but the risk of doing nothing is also difficult.
ACLU. That's what I was trying to think of. ACLU. It's bothering me. Yep. There is a national divorce coming. I think people. It's so weird, how if you look at whatever's happening through like a historical lens, it's like, this happened, but it was like a 5-year period, a 10-year period. For us, it's like something's been going on for 20 years. It's such a long time. But if you look back like 100 years ago, it'll be like a failed movement, or you know what I mean? Like if the fiat money falls, it literally people think that's just the way it's always been. But if you look back like 200 years from now, they'll be like, oh, they tried to do this with paper money, and it was made by the banks, and it was obviously a stupid idea. But they tried it, and it lasted for a while.
They did it. Right. They've done it before. Like this started in 1913. So none of our parents, and mostly none of our grandparents. Some of the grandparents would have been alive at the time, but they would have been very young. Nobody alive today can be pointed to for responsibility having created it. Continuing it's all of us. But it's this thing that before that happened, and before they sunk the Titanic so they could kill the bankers that were against it, right? Look into that, right? I tend to believe
I've never heard that.
That's amazing.
That's
story.
my new favorite conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty legitimate.
It's very legitimate, dude.
I believe it.
Yeah,
and they just happened to all be on there, all the people who posted. Jackson prevented and or killed the national bank. Prior to that, Hamilton, for all of his recent praise, was evil. He wanted a national bank, whereas Jefferson was like, no. And you look at the
and income tax income tax amendment went the same year.
Yeah, I was going to bring up income tax. Everyone in the United States thinks there's always been income tax.
They used to fund the government by tariffs only.
Yeah, I mean, income tax was like was it 1903 or 13?
1913, same year.
13,
it was there. It's the enforcement arm,
and it was just for the rich, and it was like 0.5%. It was nothing.
It's the enforcement arm of Federal Reserve. So essentially, they put in a non-governmental organization to print our money for us, to spring it out of thin air, and make us pay the debt on it, and then
they set up a firewall on assets so they could control bubbles with it, right? Like they made it so you have to go through all these regulatory hoops to be a seller of alternative financial products. So they ring fenced off all of securities, bonds, all of investing, so that you hold dollars. You're kind of trapped in it for a spell that's long enough for them to fuck with you.
Take care, Phil. Even though you're not watching on my channel.
Read picture from Jekyll Island, at least. That's all that stuff's in there. It's crazy, bizarre stuff.
We need to unwind it, and if we do successfully, then people will not believe what will happen here. Like if we get rid of it, what will
Golden
happen?
Age.
Golden age.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
If people know that, like Greg just brought up, like we had this amazing country that was growing by leaps and bounds over such a short period of time, and we had no income tax. If they know that it's like in the last 100 years is all we've had income tax.
Yeah, we've had government growth instead, and the structures are not only toxic for the people outside of it, ruled by it, but they're toxic for the people who become part of it. It destroys their morality.
But it really changes something in their mindset. Like, oh, we can exist without it. We don't need it.
Right. It's
like
technically a threat of force. All of it. It's
people accept so many things
make you do
necessary evils, but they're not. Right. They're not necessary at all.
In those days, before the Federal Reserve and before the income tax, I mean, you could actually become wealthy doing productive things, like being a farmer, being,
you could save your dollars for working at a fucking fast food restaurant, and they would actually accrue wealth.
Which is, you can't do anymore now.
We have now, right? Here's a good example of it, actually, what we could have instead. Bear with me on this one. Buy an iPhone, 15 or whatever, and compare it to an iPhone 5. The price only recently went up, and it went up after the massive amounts of inflation we had, right? But before that, they would issue a new one with better capabilities every year, like fucking clockwork, and it stayed the same price. Inflation is why it didn't go down in price for you. That is the invisible tax. All of the things that make modern life better would have gotten cheaper for us instead of more expensive.
They used to,
were it not for this system doing what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gotta go buy a book so I can get on the nice list. So I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
But have a
Merry
good
Christmas.
Have a good Christmas and
John.
enjoy your break. And I'll see everybody next week. Bye.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about this one. So I am for I am, left and right, states won't unite. I'm seeing something more and more that's really kind of blowing my mind to that. And I'm not going to go into which issues or any of that, but it surprises the heck out of me that right wingers and left wingers are not coming together, I won't say, but they are appearing to agree on several current issues, whereas a sliver of what is the supposed right is out, and a sliver of the left, like you could look at Senator Warren, right, compared to the vast amount of left wingers don't oppose crypto. Right wingers.
It makes way more sense to think of it as authoritarians and libertarians.
Yes, it does. The whole left-right thing is theater. The whole Democrat-Republican theater, conservative-liberal theater. All those words are meaningless. And when you start looking at those issues, I agree with AOC on several things heavily. Yeah. Not just like, I could see that. No, it's like I really agree with that.
More surprising because she literally was the opposite. Like 2 years ago, I remember she posted something, and Ted Cruz said, "Absolutely, I agree with you. I'd like to work with you on that." And she did the most like childish millennial thing. Ew, not you.
Yeah, so
it was weird.
Well,
it was really weird.
I just saw
she didn't realize she was being handed an opportunity to grab some power.
I just saw a hearing, actually it was multiple hearings where I was agreeing with Rashida Tlaib, and I had to like check myself, but and I sat there and I was like, you know what? She is calling out the banksters for knowing during the what was the giant bank that crashed that let it off?
Signature, or
was it Signature? No,
that was a smaller
Principled leftists tend to have the right idea heart, but their logic is just not aligned with.
Well, she called out that they all took huge bonuses the day before. Maybe it was Signature Bank. Right, right before the big crash.
Used to do that too. On a lot of fiscal stuff, she was like,
that was Operation Checkpoint 2.0 going into action for the first time. That's what that was.
I've been shocked with Fetterman. He's standing up against his own party for what's right for Pennsylvania, which was like, what? That makes sense. Why is that happening? he's going to block the sale of U.S. Steel to a foreign company. I mean, just the things that are make actual sense that he's literally being vocal about
That's
it.
interesting.
The bad joke of it all to me is that every other bank in the country has the same issues that made them go after those three banks.
Silicon Valley Bank, by the way.
Thank you.
Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and what was the other one?
First something.
They got rid of three banks that provided the most dollar liquidity in and out of crypto in the world by far. Like we lost a network that allowed 24-hour settlement when they took that out. And then they didn't go after any of the other banks, and they set up a Fed money printing facility to prop them up.
And I'm sure some of the people on those bank boards, caught on was like,
took them out
okay. But I almost guarantee some of those people on those bank boards knew that they were set up for that purpose. They were either set up or they started offering those services for that purpose.
They were making money where nobody else was. And when someone tried to come and say, you better stop making money this way, they said, fuck off. So instead of letting the mark-to-market crisis go unheeded and unnoticed, they targeted them for banking irregularities that the entire banking industry is guilty of right now, including the big ones.
They all got big
because they have all these long-term bonds that if they didn't sell at market rate today, they'd sell them at a loss. And that would mean they would have a shortage and bank runs would happen.
I got a legal question for you,
get
Greg.
fucked out of their money.
So just happened that 13 people went to court to try to keep their names from coming out from being on the Epstein flight log, right? Or I know on the list. Yeah. And the court said no, but allowed 3 of them to remain sealed. So why are they allowing, or are they saying, no, you can't, you can't hide, has to be transparent who's on this list coming out, but these 3 people can remain? Isn't the only reason because they would be national security or some kind of something like that they're currently in office? Or what reason could there be that 3 of them would be allowed?
They're insiders. They're supported by a group of people who run these organizations, who occasionally leave those jobs and go work at the regulators who regulate those organizations, and then they go back and forth, and it's all the same people, right? They take their turns running the government.
Well, what's the legal reason that the judge would say that 3 names will remain sealed out of the 100 names?
I can answer that. And I tweet this often, and people maybe don't understand it entirely, that there is no law. Law is not law. Law is just, it's what they use. There's no law. And so
it doesn't go dormant when it stops being followed. It's destroyed immediately.
Most likely they're minors, if I had to guess.
The judge either is paid, or a judge and or whoever is deciding this is either paid and or controlled by, like they have pictures of them raping kids.
Or they're a useful idiot, manipulated psychologically using military.
I don't buy that
brain
anymore.
fuckery.
Same thing. It's like, and so you look at that 3 people. We could speculate who they are. Probably, I mean, they're either politicians. Somebody as powerful as Chuck Schumer, for instance, something like that, alleged, or could be people who are high in finance world. It could be Jamie Dimon, right?
Yeah, but I mean, literally, the parts of the list that's out. I mean, the president's on it. Clinton's on it. Justin Trudeau is on it.
Remember what was happening on the plane and on the island, and who was involved. Minors cannot be listed. And if that stuff was happening on the plane as well, then most likely there are minors on the plane, and the judge would protect the minors and not list their names.
Rachel
most
Maddow.
Likely those are minors' names, if I had to guess.
Rachel Maddow,
maybe.
Romero.
Might be.
Interesting. Sarah Silverman.
There may also be some censorship in there to prevent people from having any major current public figures have their assets hanging out.
And I would think any minors that were on there would have been separate categorization.
Like if the director of national intelligence is on, that guy got it censored.
There'd be more than 3 minors on there, you would expect, right? Maybe not. Maybe there were
I
just
don't know.
You know, like what's her name? Who's the one of the
Virginia Dufresne or whatever.
no, the one who was one of the handlers,
Rachel
Chandler. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that the right word? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
Point is, they should make it all public. I'm sorry.
yes,
In
it
this
should all be
case-
public.
In this case, I think the
do we
greater
live in a free
calls for it.
society? No.
Even
So,
if some of the minors impacted might have a bad time of it. This is a public interest, and I think they should, in order to make sure that there are no blank spots for people, just absolutely open it up. They need to let people do it and trust people to be ethical about how they handle victims versus bad guys. I think people would do the right thing if you trust them to.
yeah. There should be something for. I mean, geez, are any of these people going to be on the whatever? I don't know. There are already lists out there for some of this stuff,
That's
but
true.
not for
It
this.
would
not
run.
for-
It
not
would
you know,
reduce the size of the
it's-
administrative state. Let's put it that.
There you go. There you go. Right.
It's weird how many people are on the list, like entertainers, who are like not crazy popular. Like they're not A list. They're like B list, but like a big B list, like Patton Oswalt, stuff like that. Put Virginia Woolf, you know, like she's a very low level comedian, but very loud politically on the right or the left side of stuff. And she's on it, you know.
Hey, to switch to another current event, what do you guys? And I just saw this yesterday. Milieu from Argentina, right? So he won. Everybody was saying, "Oh, he's libertarian. He's going to get rid of their central bank."
No, he's an anarcho-capitalist.
Yeah. Well, did you hear? Apparently, he's very, very wildly unpopular action that he made it so that it's illegal to boycott. And I don't know if it's boycott a specific thing or if it's to boycott anything.
It's because he's trying to tear down government institutions. And there are people such as public employees and folks who are really into that kind of solutioning. They're protesting the tearing down of those things. Right.
I think
so. If you're an ANCAP
puppet
and you're all about liberty, how do you deal with that?
You let it happen, I would expect, if you really are an ANCAP and not a puppet.
What if it's powerful enough to actually stop you?
Then you say something about it. He's just elected president. I mean, you know.
I think he's a good guy with a good heart. Was a libertarian, and is like, hey, the only way we can fix it is just for now.
I think he's a puppet. I think he's a puppet that came in order to stop.
I think he's a puppet now, but I think his heart was always in the right place, and he was.
I think he's ripping the Band-Aid off in a way.
I like what he's saying he's going to do and all that. I just don't trust him because he's I don't live there, so it doesn't matter. But the fact that he immediately comes in and is like, okay, get rid of the central bank. Wow, that's amazing. So switch to the dollar. It's like, what? Wait a minute, what?
I also don't know what specific practices he's objecting to about what they're protesting.
Lucas, I agree with you, Lucas. I think that's the main thing people look at now. But it's all
reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions apply here. You know?
Yeah, it's my understanding.
Yeah, well, you can say about Luke.
Inflate our dollar.
Civil liberties will always come second or third to bread and circus, right? I mean, quality of life is the circus side of it, and food is the basis, right? And when people get hungry, that's when stuff changes, right? So that's when they start to worry about it.
I've watched some interviews, and he's like, hey, we got to play ball, United States. We got to play ball with this, got to do that. We got to fix the country. It's, I know it's not, what is perfect. And he's like, but what about China? Fuck China. I mean, he's like,
ask him about
no communist.
That he
communist. And they're like, what about,
you get elected to Argentina and you go out and wave an Israeli flag. You have to question. It's like, what?
Yeah, by saying that, he did guarantee that the U.S. won't take him out.
Maybe that might be it.
Because they were like, what about Venezuela? They're like, he's like, fuck them. They're communists. Let them rot. He goes, no communists. We're not dealing with any communists. Yeah. So he's like hardline about certain things, but all of this stuff just reminds me of like 80s politics, 70s.
Yeah.
Politics.
Well, again, anybody who's pulling the communist versus capitalist thing, it's the same. It's just this binary argument for the puppets.
For that reason, you probably shouldn't do business with the U.S. either at this moment.
It's true. but it's like it's probably illegal to do what I would want to do with if I whatever. Anyway, that's interesting. Yeah, the new American gold-backed dollar. Okay,
Yeah, they're
so
like the only country in the world that's run by a libertarian, right?
I am for
never has been.
I'm looking forward to that new movie, the Civil War movie, the Boogaloo.
I think it's gonna be horrible, but I probably will watch it. Right?
I don't know. I'm hoping that it is like thought provoking at least.
You just want, the new Texas might actually join up with California because Texas has been doing a lot of stuff. It doesn't make sense, right?
Well, we are light, like we're California light, dude. The state's purple now. It's no longer.
I know.
Because you go to Austin, that's.
But why would they break off? Why would they break off against the federal government? Is the movie going to try to play the federal government as one of the?
No, that's the thing. They're playing the federal. And that's the thing I like about what I've seen and what I've researched on it, is that Ron Swanson and the federal government, it's just tyrannical. It's not a left side, right side. It's tyranny, and tyranny's bad. If you're a journalist and you go to
why is there a California, Texas, and there's like the middle states, and then there's I think there were 3 factions, right?
Yeah, there was like 3 factions.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen 4chan's comments on it, so I don't really know everything.
It looks like it. I mean, of course, it's going to be left leaning, and there's going to be some propaganda and stuff. But I think that it will be a little bit thought provoking, and it'll give people the basic idea of like tyranny's wrong. There's that line. There is no lines. Everything's blurred. Even minor attracted people. There's every line is being.
Well, and everyone's reasonable regulation is somebody else's tyranny. So we need to have systems that have principles against tyranny. It can't be ad hoc. We can't say this is okay, this is not. We have to have principles. We have to stick with them in cases where it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like
that's what the free speech argument has been for, right? Like people have been like, I'm uncomfortable with the idea that people would wave Nazi flags. Well, you know what? You can't have a society where it's okay to speak the truth when they're trying to poison your children. If you are not also okay with some people believing in Nazi flags and waving them around. Right?
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to say, yay, it's fine for them to wave their Nazi flag. It can be against it, but they have the right to do it. But don't try to force my kid to wave a Nazi flag.
Exactly. It's the harm principle reintegrated, basically.
Uh-huh. Or any flag for that matter, right? It's like an ANCAP flag. It's like it's like we're going to force you to fly this ANCAP flag.
That would be the most ridiculous. That would be like.
Would it be
like Monty Python level satire of ANCAP?
Yes, it is. But isn't that what when not the bee is funnier than Sacrament than what is it, the bee, right? On Twitter, that's what you've got. That's what's reality. The freaking clown world is real. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I think we'll see with Maley. I think he's gonna potentially later have been revealed to be justified in this in order to achieve what he wants to achieve.
I don't know.
Look at the net good over time, but
I totally agree,
and we won't be able to know until later.
Same as with Trump. I would right now probably only support Trump because he's more likely to cause disruption than anyone else. Does that mean that I would support everything he does? Probably not. Does it mean I believe he's going to do what he actually says? No. He didn't the first time, right? Free Assange, no. But he'll at least do something better than DeSantis would do, or something better than some.
Especially if he points to
Biden would do.
Right. If you get Vivek as VP and he pardons Snowden, makes him the director of national intelligence.
Maybe Vivek.
Did you see that Indian influencer get into CNN? It's by saying he was Vivek.
Oh my God, that's racist! How did they just let him in because he
does not look like Vivek at all?
That's horrible. CNN all racist.
He walked in and the security. He's like, "Yeah, I've got a 6 o'clock with that person."
Oof.
And the security guard's like, you having a phone with them? That's CNN. It's down there. It's like, oh, I'm Vivek. Oh, you're Vivek. Oh, yeah. Can I get a selfie with you?
I don't have my makeup on, right? It's like
he's lucky Vivek won't play the card.
He's just a big smile, like Ramaswamy is. But dude, people were taking selfies with him. He got all the way up to CNN to write for his.
No one checked an ID.
No. They shook his hand and asked.
As ridiculous as that is, that guy should probably still not be fired for it.
And he's walking in with somebody obviously filming, and he's like, "Oh, going to my interview, from vlogging."
I'll
you
see
know,
that.
and everybody just is like, "Hey, I want to be a part of it. I like you. Glad you're here."
Sounds like a Sacha Baron Cohen type of shtick almost.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Wow.
It's kind of funny.
Okay, so we already did closeouts. We have 10 minutes before the total hard stop. So
I thought the
anything else
crazy
we
thing
gotta
that was the Church of Satan saying that abortions are child sacrifices,
Crazy.
and literally, if you incorporate some rituals, they'll pay for it, and they're starting to open up clinics.
Yeah,
that's like just in your face, man.
These
And it was
people are sick.
the New York Times or someone did an article on how nice it was, and like how it's all kind of new agey and but yeah, very just blew my mind how and that one. Did you see the interview with that music dude from like 10 years ago? It was huge, Shane or whatever. He said, "Oh yeah, I've seen like when an album's coming out or something that they have like satanic rituals and everyone has to pray and they go." He said it's like insane.
Really? All right, I tell you what, look up and I saw this years ago, and I would have never mentioned it on air years ago because it's very creepy, but Bernard, look up by the band. I think he's German, and he has an interview you can still see online, either Rumble or YouTube, maybe YouTube. I can't remember his first name, but he describes the reality of that world on this video, and it's dark and it's creepy and it's scary stuff, but it's worth knowing that that's actually going on out there. So it's kind of like the actual reality of things. So anyway, because it's a lot of that type of stuff, and I'll tell you, he took it kind of like with lightly. He's like, they're all Satan worshipers, the bankers, that is, but I don't believe in that, so whatever. And then they asked him to do some stuff, and he was like, he kind of had a breakdown, right? Because he was like, he didn't expect that was real, and it was. And so,
like when Alex Jones actually got into the Bohemian.
Oh, that's the other one. Current events. This was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. There's somebody went in with like 4K video and like actually took I think he took a raft out to that island. Actually went in to the Owl at the Bohemian Grove, and like toured the whole place in the dark. It was creepy. You watch that too. It's bizarre stuff, but somebody actually got in. This was just like weeks ago. So crazy stuff. Anyway,
that was something that like no one could argue with. Where like these, like was the governor of Arizona, and he's dancing around an idol with fire. It's like, oh, well, there's nothing. You can't claim that.
Yep.
That's
why
they have quotes from Nixon.
Allowed.
Nixon. Yeah. There's a known quote from Nixon on it too.
He talks about how he didn't. He's like, "Oh, I love that place. It's fun. Don't like the fag stuff they like to do, but it was It was Nixon talked about it. It was
It's all real. I always thought it was fake. My brother-in-law told me about it way back, and I was like, "What? There's no way. There's no way that's real." Anyway,
who's that? The singer? I can't. She's like the biggest chick, young.
a lot of those.
Very young. She's
real singer or
California. Yeah, real singer. She has like big boobs, but she always wore loose clothes and talked about.
Oh, you're thinking of Billie Eilish.
Yeah, Billie Eilish. There's a video of her on stage where
straight Satanist.
She's on stage singing and she goes backwards, bends in half, and then is going. It's weird.
Like, I do really love her music. Honestly, I love the sound.
It's just odd. That would freak me out. They're like, that's.
I would be careful listening to her music.
Dude, no way, man. It's good.
Like you may be listening to some kind of weird chant and not realize it, or be
Well, I mean,
like frequencies matter.
yeah, I like it, and I haven't had any satanic impulses yet, so I'm probably okay.
That's good. Just keep keep
Yep.
check. Anyway, all right. So let's cut off from here and
Oh shit! Did want to mention one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Bureau.xyz/megatexas.eth. Everybody should go there, check out my latest post on how the current regulation targeting crypto is SOPA PIPA Part 2, and we need to unify in the same way that Aaron Schwartz brought it all together back in the early days of the internet, if we were to stop it. And I make a case for it there, so check it out.
Is that the mass surveillance stuff that they
this is scratching the surface with respect to how, and I'm going to be releasing a lot more stuff like this, but how they are actually waging the war on crypto.
Okay.
And what they're specifically doing, who's specifically behind it. Because there are a lot more who's than just the public faces of it. And it gives you an insight into how they're doing it, and it may help us win in the long run.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, go there, check it out. We might ask her. We'll put the link in the Den post or something, because that would be awesome. I'd like to see it, but I'm like, cool. Click on it. So okay, all right. That's it then, right? We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for coming on. It was a good show, I think, right? Oh, next week.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas. Next week is the year end, I think, where we review the projects instead of the people, maybe for the naughty list. So we, year end review on the events and happenings, maybe on crypto, I think. So tune in for that. It'll be awesome. But make sure you share this one so that everybody gets some good lot, and have a great Christmas, great weekend, and so on. All right. See you guys. Bye.
While nuclear weapons states can exert unlimited violence over even millions of individuals, strong cryptography means that a state, even by exercising unlimited violence, cannot violate the intent of individuals to keep secrets from them. Cryptography is the ultimate form of non-violent direct action.